There it
Okay,
goes.
recording. Yep.
Yep.
Cynthia, do you want to kind of work us through the agenda? The only reason I am a little hesitant, I'm still in my office and I've been told that sometime between now and 10 o'clock I might get knocked off, so I may end up having to get onto my mobile phone.
I would be happy to work us through the agenda.
Okay.
The only question mark on my end is if I get a text from my teenager who lives in New Orleans, I will jump off as needed. Not that I can stop the hurricane nor the tornadoes, but I would do my
Yes.
my mom duties.
Understood.
Yeah, so I think we're already being recorded. Welcome everybody to the September 2024 BAC PAC meeting. My name is Cynthia Palmer and I'm with the Bicycle Advisory Committee. And Eric, jump in.
All right. I'm Eric Goodman. I'm the acting chair of the Pedestrian Advisory Committee, and we just want to call on people quickly to introduce themselves. At this point, we don't have a lot of time, but maybe just make certain everybody has an opportunity to do a quick introduction. So I guess I could walk it through until I get knocked off. David Patton.
All right. Hi, I'm David Patton. I'm liaison. I'm county staff liaison to the Pedestrian Committee. I'm a transportation planner.
All right, Mr. Robert Capper.
Hi there, thank you for having me. I am county staff as well, landscape architect in the Park Development Division of the Department of Parks and Recreation, capital asset manager.
Thank you. Tom Corns.
Tom Corns, member of the PAC, founding member of the PAC. There we go. And I live in Cherrydale.
I guess Lisa K. Schwimmer.
Hi, my name is Lisa K. Schweier. I'm with Foursquare ITP, and I'll be presenting a little bit later. Thank you.
Thank you. Randy Swart.
Hi, I'm Randy Swart, and I am a former member of the Bicycle Advisory Committee. I live in Barcroft.
Hi, Randy.
Pamela Van Hine.
Hi, Pam Van Hine. I'm the Pedestrian Advisory Committee recording secretary, and I live in Aurora Highlands.
Thank you. Elwin Gonzalez.
Hey everyone, this is Elwin Gonzalez. I'm a transportation planner with Arlington County BES, and I serve as the BAC liaison.
Brian Shelton. He may not be there at the moment. All right, I'll move on to Andrea Walker.
Hi, Andrea Walker, member of the PAC.
Thank you. Thank you.
It sounds like a member of the dog pack. Thank you.
All right. Chris Slatt.
Good evening. I'm Chris Slatt, former transportation chair, and I think this is my last BAC meeting before I'm fully off Transportation Commission. I live in Penrith.
Thank you. Dana Brez. There. Dana, are you there? Oh, well,
Dana Bress on the BAC, okay. Live in Aurora Highlands.
Okay, thank you, Dana. Noreen Hannigan.
Hi. I wasn't sure if I was muted. Hi, yeah, I'm Noreen Hannigan. I live in Dominion Hills. Sorry, I just jumped on. Anyway, I'm on the BAC and I'm also with the Forestry and Natural Resources Commission.
Thank you. And Kevin O'Brien with WABA.
Good evening, folks. Kevin O'Brien, Virginia organizer with the Washington Area Bicyclists Association and a friend of the BAC.
Thank you. Eric Balliot.
Hi, good evening. I'm Eric Byatt, County Staff. I'm with Arlington County Commuter Services and will be part of one of the items later on the agenda.
Thank you. Sarah Crawford.
Hey, good evening, everyone. My name is Sarah Crawford. I'm the Assistant Director of Transportation for Arlington County, and I'm supporting the Arlington County Commuter Services team.
Thank you. And let's see here, Catalina.
Hi, everyone. I'm a newer member of the Commission on Aging. I'm the chair of the Transportation Committee. So this is the first time I'm listening into this, but excited to meet you all.
Thank you. And Mary Delau.
Hello, I'm Mary Delau. I'm with Bike and Walk Arlington, and I live in Bloomar.
Thank you, Mary. Laura Castro.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Laura Castro with the Vision Zero team, Arlington County.
Thank you. And Lois DeMeester.
Hi, good evening. I'm Lois DeMeester. I'm a partner contractor to ACCS.
All right, thank you. And Steve Offit.
Hi, I'm Steve Offit. I'm a longtime member of the Bicycle Advisory Committee.
All right, I think that's everybody on our list here, though. Kevin, I'm sorry, Brian Shelton. I'll give him another chance. Brian, are you there? He may be logging in a little bit later.
His mic wasn't working earlier, so that might be what's happening.
Okay, very good. All right, I think that Cynthia, do you want to start us through the agenda now, since we've
Sure. We're going to start off with a discussion of 4 Mile Run trail improvements, and we welcome Mr. Robert Capper, Capital Asset Manager for Arlington DPR.
Thank you once again. I have met with you all in years past, but it's been a while, and it is a pleasure to meet with you again. DPR is doing some milling and paving of trails. We've already done quite a bit this year. One segment of trail that is in only fair condition, we have sort of excellent, good, fair, is kind of the lower 4 Mile Run trail. That part of the trail that lies along South Glebe Road in 4 Mile Run Park. It's rated fair. The number, the trail pavement condition index number given to that portion it's in the 67, 68 range. That's spaced out of 100 being, excellent, just, pristine pavement. So it's not bad, but it does need to be repaved. Rather mindlessly just milling and paving it, putting it back as it is, it seemed that we have an opportunity to make this better. The trail widths are kind of all over the place. That portion of the trail varies in width from about 7.5 feet up to 12 feet. It all should be just a little wider. Excuse my dog if you hear him. There are some hard right turns. In fact, it comes to a T intersection at one place. And we think there's an opportunity to sort of soften and then to prioritize the 4 Mile Run trail over the intersecting trail connectors and sidewalks in the area. So I'm coming to you to see if you agree, disagree, or if we're missing another opportunity that is right there in front of us. I am going to share my screen, and if this works right, I'm going to go to Google Maps. Hopefully you can see that. Here we are in South Arlington. Elwin, if any technical difficulties, please let me know. But we're going to pick up the 4 Mile Run trail. It has the trail is concrete in this previous section, the western section, it passes underneath Interstate 395, underneath the West Glebe Road Bridge, and then comes up, and if you see my cursor right here, it comes to a T intersection. So particularly bicyclists then have to make this hard right turn to continue on the trail. I am going to take advantage of my little person down here and drop them right on that trail. Boom. Okay. So this is looking back kind of up the trail to the west. We've walked it or biked it. The trail is concrete, comes up here to this T intersection, and then it is a hard right. Well, we believe that here, and when I say we, I'm talking about a joint DPR and DES trails team, that we could swing the trail out and then back in, so there's a nice gentle curve. We would then also, this trail connector in the back from West Glebe Road Bridge, we need a new stop sign there. There is an old one, a small one, that's a rusted one. Need a new stop sign. We would repave that section as well. Perhaps put a stop bar to say, you know, the trail, the 4 Mile Run Trail has priority here. So that would be the first improvement. I'm going to show you a plan here at the end of all these kind of conceptual thoughts. But the trail would propose, you know, supposedly swing out, come back. From this point on, the trail is 8 feet wide. Due to the volume of people walking, biking, commuting, this should really be wider, and it's flat enough here that we think we could get at least 10 feet through this section. Okay, I'm gonna cycle on ahead here rapidly. So we're and you could, if I'll stop for a moment, you can see the pavement. It's not great, and certainly needs to be repaved. So this we're proposing to be at least 2 feet wider, a foot wider on each side. We're coming up here. We're coming up actually ahead is the bridge over Doctor's Run. Would go click one more. And ahead then to the left is the giant food store. From this point, the trail swings over and runs adjacent to the street. And there's a sidewalk along the street. We think there's an opportunity just to take this trail, the trail straight on ahead to the bridge, not swing it over, keep it away from the street as long as possible. So kind of cut this corner, turn the sidewalk into the trail, making the trail the priority through here. So we're over here now, kind of where my cursor is, more in the grass. And I don't know if that gives us an opportunity to plant trees, but at least we're away from the street. Now coming on up to the roadway bridge over Doctor's Run, here we're limited. This is a road bridge and it's 8 feet wide, but we're kind of stuck with that. So we're going to have to go back to 8 feet across the bridge. And then there's this gutter here. We'll still at 8 feet, but just beyond the not the gutter, but the rail there, we can go back to 10 feet. And then here we have another rather difficult turn. Again, I'm talking from a cyclist's point, but you know, knowing that what's good for cyclists is also good for people walking, but we can, I believe, soften this curve around here. Again, for this walkway coming in, the trail becomes the priority. We don't need that center line continuing on to the walk. It should turn with the 4 Mile Run trail. So a more gentle curve there. And down here against this this flood wall at 4 Mile Run Stream. So I'm going to click ahead. Right here, then we're running, tight against the wall. But if you look ahead here by this big electrical pole, you could see the trail widens out. It actually widens out to 12 feet. All of this should be 12 feet as well. We can match up to that line, and from that line on, it's pretty good pavement. So again, an opportunity to widen out the trail, better accommodate the volumes of traffic. This is a section of good pavement, trail pavement all through here. It's got a center line, nice, nice stripe. We're coming up to the Mount Vernon Bridge ahead, and so here we won't do anything up until maybe get back over up until, well, I just passed it, but this point right here, again, we need to begin milling and paving, and we can widen this. Here's another opportunity to widen the trail from, this is 8 or 9 feet, but to widen it to at least 10 feet. Ahead is the Mount Vernon Avenue Bridge. So this will all be wider. We will come under the bridge and just to the other side. Okay. Here, maybe take out that little unnecessary curve, but kind of come up through this way with a wider trail. This could be 10 feet up to here. We're then into a wooded area. This portion of the trail is 8 feet wide through here. This is 4 Mile Run Park, 8 feet wide. Definitely, as you can see here, definitely needs to be milled and paved, but we don't want to do or make any improvements that would damage the trees. I intend to talk to the urban forester to see, can we go any wider without damaging the trees? I don't know. If we can, we will, but we certainly don't want to harm the trees. And then we're coming to about the end of the improvements. In fact, it would probably stop in this area. And then ahead is the wastewater pollution control plant. We would repave this trail connector. So this is a mile plus of paving. What I'm going to do now is just show you the conceptual plan for all of this, and to get your thoughts on that. So going back to the West Glebe Road area, here's the concrete portion coming up right now. That's a T intersection. So a nice swooping curve. Get a center line in there, stop bar, stop sign, and repave this connector. But establishing the 4 Mile Run Trail as the priority. Increase this width. This is all 8 feet now. We believe we can increase that with minimal, if any, grading. It's all flat through there. Increase that to at least 10 feet. Continuing on, this is where right now the trail follows this green line and swings over almost unnaturally to be right against the roadway. We'll keep it away from the roadway, which is, a little more friendly. We don't like riding or walking next to a busy road, and it is. So then we come up to the bridge over Doctor's Run. Troy Park is to the north. We have to live with that 8 feet across there. And then beyond the guardrail, we can increase to 10 feet. Little gentle curve here, establishing a stop bar and cutting out some pavement, but for that other connector walkway, the trail then comes around another sort of a more gentle curve, widen out to that first big electric pole. So that can go to 12 feet. The rest of this can be maintained as is because it's good pavement. Then up here to this roadway connector, widen that to at least 10 feet. Get a nice center line in, coming up to the Mount Vernon Bridge. The other side of the bridge, maintain that 10-foot width as long as we can before we encounter the trees. Back to 8 feet, but we'll at least mill and pave it. And increase the width if at all possible without damaging the trees. And then, yeah, just beyond this trail connection, again, putting a stop sign, stop bar to establish the priority of the trail first. And then we have the 10 to 12 foot width running on by the wastewater pollution control plant. So what questions? Oh, I see hands up already. Good. What questions do you have? Randy, it looks like you were first.
Thank you, Robert. This is a breath of fresh air. I am so glad to hear that you're doing this project. The initial T intersection is one of the more dangerous places that I ride through. I have nearly been clocked there on at least 2 occasions. It's a part of the problem, and your design looks good, but part of the problem is those railings. Why are they there? They keep you from seeing anybody coming. If you haven't tried it on a recumbent, I really recommend that you look at that. And I would recommend that you remove the railings. They aren't necessary. They cause great problems by making that a completely blind corner. So thank you very much for what you're doing.
Okay, it does indeed. Many sections first for my friends here who are with the PAC. I walk much of the 4-mile run trail. This portion of the trail, I happen to bike more. So I think of it from a bike perspective. And you are absolutely right that the rails do prevent good visibility at that intersection. So it looks like Cynthia, you were next.
Thank you. I am so excited about these improvements. Great presentation. I totally agree on that railing. And I'll just mention a few other things really quick. You mentioned protecting the trees, but that initial stretch that you showed us, all the trees disappeared like overnight and nobody had input. And I don't know. I mean, they were some of the most beautiful trees in Arlington, so it's a shame. But anyway, that's another conversation, I think.
Well, it is, but I can tell you what happened. Brian Shelton and I and another member from DES, who is also on the trail coordination team, Catherine Seebauer, we were meeting out on site, and who should come by but our urban forester. And we said, Vincent, what happened to the trees? You know? And he said the Army Corps of Engineers made them cut them down. So that's what happened to the trees.
Oh dear. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
So I'll just be quick because I know we're short on time. A couple of other things. I know that the bridge over Doctor's Run, where you say there's nothing we can do, let's think if there's something we can do, because I know some of our members who have children have raised that specific location as being very, very uncomfortable, especially for kids on bikes who don't feel as much in control. I don't know if there's any way that we can sort of keep the bikes and the traffic from mingling accidentally. But let's think about that one a little bit more. There's also a bus stop right there, and there's just too much. Like it's a little stressful. One more thing, 2 more things actually. when you make the turn of if you're going in the direction you just took us in, you make the turn toward the water, and then you make the left turn, and you sort of rushed over it, but you turn right and then you turn left, and it's
Yes.
the left turn where I've seen so many close calls because there's more speed, and it's just really tight. So let's take a good look at that one as well. And then third, going under that next bridge, there are definitely visibility issues, especially at night. There's also water accumulation sometimes. So let's take a good look under that bridge. Also, people hang out underneath there often, which is great. But if you're like maneuvering down the path and then they're suddenly in front of you, it's not as great. So just for safety's sake, whatever we can do to make it safer for everybody, that would be wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Steve?
Yeah, thanks. I'm going to echo everyone's, sort of like enthusiasm that we're doing more than just milling and paving, and there's more ideas. So I remember when they first put the trail under 395 and they did that ridiculous right turn with the gates at the fences or whatever they're called, right there by West Glebe. And I just could not understand who even thought of that from the very beginning. But I would suggest maybe thinking even bigger there, instead of like having it curve out and so on. But what if you just straighten it? What if where you come out from under West Glebe, it just kind of goes straight onto the trail? There's no reason to do a left turn and then a right turn, even if you make them, sort of like more gradual or rounded or something like that. I never understood why that was done in the first place. And now we have the opportunity to just make it straight. Just make it straight. And
Okay,
we'll look at that. Cynthia said about Doctor's Run. So when you said there's nothing we can do, well, I don't know how wide those lanes are, but if you took 1 foot from each of those lanes, you could then make a 10-foot wide trail instead of an 8-foot wide sidewalk. And that's, I strongly consider thinking about how you can actually make that wider for the people on the side path, and not give all the space to the people who are driving the cars. So that's the one. And then and the Mount Vernon Avenue Bridge, underneath that has its issues with sight lines and so on and so forth. Coming westbound, one time when I took the, you're coming along and then you kind of have to curve left to go down under the bridge. That whole curve there kind of does a right and then a left, and and at night it's very difficult to see. So kind of making that entire section much straighter and easier. I went off the trail and hit a bush basically and crashed. So because you have to kind of like do a double curve, and and that needs to be really straightened out. And talking to the urban foresters, that section just east of there does kind of go back and forth and back and forth. Are there ways to redirect the trail entirely instead of kind of going around and around and around, so that it's straightened out a bit and doesn't create this continue? And I got to tell you, when there's traffic moving in both directions on cyclists, with cyclists, then when people are on bicycles, they lean, and so there's just less room to maneuver when there's people walking or whatever. So if that can just be widened and straightened, maybe even change the route entirely, would be worth looking at, I believe.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, I think Pamela?
Hi, real fast, as a pedestrian in the group. Dana and I both live directly north of this, and we both use this section of the trail frequently. I applaud all of your changes. I think it's wonderful. I wish Jillian were here. We had a backpack meeting X amount of time ago where she brought one of her kids, and they pled so poignantly to fix this. So you're finally fixing it. I'm interested in what your schedule will be and how you're coordinating it with the bridge, the Mount Vernon Bridge. And are there any designs that you are doing that are going to impact the bridge and vice versa? I mean, there were some conversations about how people, especially pedestrians, can get down from the bridge on the west side. I also want to know exactly where the bus stop is on Glebe, and is it before or after the turn that goes over to, if you're going eastbound, is it before or after going eastbound over to the trail? And I totally support the comments about the Doctors Run Bridge. That is so narrow, and anything you could be, we really
It is.
appreciate. But
Yeah.
but thank you for this. This is great.
Several of us here have given input on the Mount Vernon Bridge design and on the trail going under. Let's see, I just forgot your comment that I was wanting to address. Anyway, we have been involved with that. So hopefully that, timing. If at all possible, I'd like for much of this to be done this fall. Now that it is dependent upon the contractor's schedule, and you all know that asphalt is weather dependent, temperature dependent. So the plants will shut down once cold weather hits. So we're kind of, fighting against the clock. But if at all possible, I'd like to see if we could get this done this fall. If not, it would be early spring. And I believe, yep, Dana is next.
Yeah. Would it be possible for you in the next week or two to go out there with some spray paint or spray chalk or stakes and stake out what you think? If you're planning on doing it, this fall, you're springing it on us pretty late. So give us a chance to take a look at it and give you some comments. And let's, it'd be easiest to do on the ground. Just put some stakes in or get some spray chalk and mark it out.
Okay. Okay.
The other thing is you might just want to not do anything under the Mount Vernon Bridge because they're going to reconstruct it.
They are, yeah.
And unless this is really lashed up, and it doesn't sound like it is, you're just you're going to do work that's going to get torn out.
Yeah, I think the recommendation was to move. I think it goes to 12 feet, and the trail gets moved. Right now, it's tight against the south wall of the bridge or abutment. And I think it gets moved over to kind of centered in through that space. But I have not seen the plans recently. But yeah, you are correct.
And for Doctors Run, is there any chance you can work with TE&O to put a guardrail in the gutter pen? If you're moving the trail back away from the roadway to the east and west of there, or to the west of there, then there's no compelling reason we couldn't do a Memorial Bridge tunnel type guardrail to actually physically keep the cars and the cyclists apart.
Okay. I will talk to my friends in DES and see what can be done there.
So I'm going to jump real quickly.
Can I
Memorial Bridge type guardrail is not good because it eliminates all the shy zone. You cannot get close to it. The best guardrail we ever had was on the Mount Vernon Bridge itself when people were traveling north on the Mount Vernon Bridge, right over the trail to then turn right. They were actually offset from the sidewalk. So you had all the width of the sidewalk you could ride on because the rail itself was pushed over about 12 inches. So putting a guardrail that's literally right against the edge of the trail eliminates about a foot width of the trail from usable space.
And it's already narrow.
Pardon me, and I'm just sorry. Just want to make certain we are kind of way beyond our time. We have a lot to go. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate your time and taking our comments and questions. But
Eric,
Go ahead.
Can I give folks my email address?
Absolutely.
And please send me additional thoughts. Perhaps it's a paving exercise first, and the bridge is a second phase that may take more time, but maybe the widths can be increased, and then later we try to do something with the bridge. So anyway, Robert Capper, and my email address.
Could you put it in the chat? Do you mind doing that? That's probably the best
Yes,
place
it
to get
absolutely is
that.
the best. So I will do that. And thank you to everyone for your
Thank
listening
you
and your
for-
comments.
Thank you so much. All right, we probably want to move on to the Arlington County Commuter Services Strategic Plan update. And again, we are running a kind of a ways behind. So I would say take it away, Mr. Balliot. And if you have the opportunity to share with us, that would probably be good as we move through.
Yes, thank you, committee members. Actually, Lisa K. Schweier from Foursquare will be giving our presentation.
Okay.
But I'm actually going to invite just Sarah Crawford, our Assistant Director of Transportation, to give a few opening comments, and we'll turn it to Lisa K. and we'll try and keep it brief.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. Thanks, Eric's. I will be very brief in the interest of time. We're really excited to get some feedback on the draft recommendations from the Commuter Assistance Strategic Plan, which is a 5-year plan that's a requirement of DRPT. So there will be additional opportunity in the future as we potentially implement some of these recommendations, learn from them, and then have another go around again. So with that, Lisa Kay, go ahead.
Great. Hi, everyone. And it's been fascinating to listen to the conversation, and glad to be here. Thank you, Chairs Goodman and Palmer, for bringing us together, and for the introduction and background, Sarah and Eric. As they shared, that we're here to talk about an update that is being done for the Commuter Assistance Program. And it is something that gets done every 5 years through the Virginia Department of Rail and Public Transportation. It is a requirement of all the TDM programs that there is a fresh look at the programs, how they work, and what is possible for the programs to go forward. So on this slide, I just want to call attention to the purpose, that we're really trying to look at the existing program along with the existing needs of commuters, which, as we know, has shifted a little bit over the past few years. Being able to take a look at what the next 5 years could bring, and also taking a look at how this all plays in with the funding and how funding can be put in place to support the work. And most of you around the table, I'm sure, are familiar with one of the services or more of the services that are happening under the Commuter Services brand. And we're going to talk a little bit more about this because there's several of these. So we started by taking a look at what's happening right now and being able to just kind of get a sense of what's already occurring. And we started to look at the business to business outreach, where we're talking about transit benefits, events, workshops, and trainings, providing customized marketing materials and brochures, and really reaching out to the employers, the residential buildings, the commercial properties, the hotels, and the schools. Also providing site plan assistance and being able to help implement the required TDM infrastructure and services and provide support to the developers. And I know that's going to be our next topic. Also, a wide variety of marketing. There's websites, there's lots of social media, there's calculators to help commuters realize their savings. And there's a lot of commuter and traveler support. in being able to assist commuters and being able to get information about transit, also purchase fares so that they can ride transit as well. There's a component of research and reporting, and there's also what I'm sure this group is going to know more about is the bike ped and the capital bike share promotion and support. So when we look back at what ACCS is currently doing, one of the things is they're doing a lot, and there's a lot of great services. There's a lot of people being helped, being able to already reach over 800 employers, working with 360 multifamily residential buildings and 100 commercial buildings, working with more than 250 site plan buildings to implement the TDM measures, over 600 retail partners, getting over 4,400 pledges to commit to eliminating at least one single occupancy trip a week, holding 133 events, and managing the Capital Bike Share program. In addition, the commuter stores have sold over 100,000 Fare Pass products and served over 300,000 visitors. Through Commuter Direct, being able to process and deliver passes to over 110,000 customers and selling over 325,000 products. The commuter information centers are fielding phone calls, lots and lots of phone calls, over 20,000. And the distribution center is getting out material, over 185,000 pieces. So when we look at what this is doing in the community and how we're helping with individuals being able to shift from driving in their own vehicle into sharing a ride or using active transportation, we had over 44,000 commuters shift from driving alone to something else. And that took over 37,000 daily vehicle trips off the roads. When we look at doing the fancy math and calculations, it tells us that there's over a $53 million per year cost savings to the society. So we take a look at where we are and where we want to go. So we're looking at the people, where people live, where people are making trips, and taking a look at what kind of recurring trips there are. So these are the trips that people make every day, whether it's for work or school. And we're also looking at the non-recurring trips. So the one-off trips where I might need to go to the grocery store to pick something up, go to a doctor's appointment once, maybe twice a day. We also took a look at the gaps and the needs, looking specifically on equity, using Arlington's equity emphasis areas, which were defined in the County Vision Zero Transportation Safety Equity Report, really taking a look at where these areas are and paying special attention to where folks from lower income or minority populations are existing. So taking a look then at what we've done and being able to look at where the program can go, there was a lot of work that's been done to this point and being able to pull in stakeholders, some of whom are in the room. We also did some peer reviews and looked at what's happening in other parts of the country. And we found that ACCS is really doing a great job, and there's always room for improvement, just like everything. So the first thing we started with was taking a look at the vision and the mission. And the feedback that we received was that we really wanted to take a look and expand the vision from people who were making commute trips or those recurring trips and making sure that it was expanded to cover all trips and all ages, and being able to provide people with information so that they were empowered to make decisions about making these changes to their to the trips that they're making. Based on that, there were 4 goals that emerged for the program: to provide education, outreach, and encouragement about using something other than a personal vehicle to make trips, increasing the number of people and the share of those trips, being able to continue to optimize the organizational and operational effectiveness of the program, and to continue to look to diversify funding streams, and to be able to use the data and the key performance indicators to continue to help provide these key services and to report back to the stakeholders and the funding partners. So from that, there was a set of recommendations that were set, and they all flow around these 6 different areas. The first of which is to take a look at the branding. We looked a little bit earlier at the one slide where we saw logos for Walk Arlington, Bike Arlington, and there's a lot. There's a lot of different branding, and taking a look at how to leverage the name and brand under one. And by doing that, there would be one brand, one website, which would allow people to be able to more quickly find the information that they're looking for and to be able to get information across the different kinds of options. Of course, we want to keep the focus on the equity populations and make sure we're reporting, keeping data, continuing to build the connection between transportation demand management and transit, continue to look at how the site planning and the oversight can be streamlined, and being able to look for the future towards the funding and making sure that there is resiliency in the funding. Saying that, we're looking at being able to highlight some of the things that we are looking at adding or adapting moving forward. This does not mean that other things are not continuing. I'm just giving you a couple highlights of being able to look at how we reach the people who can help others make behavior change. For example, when somebody's new at an employment site and they're going through new hire training, it's a great way to leverage the opportunity to help people find a new way to get there because they don't have one yet. So working with the HR folks. Also being able to expand the transit benefit program. Traditionally, a lot of the employers who are offering this program are offering them to office workers, and we're looking at how can we do that for non-office workers or other low-wage workers. Being able to further expand the programming that exists now for multi-tenant buildings to older multi-tenant buildings and affordable housing. Working with hotels, particularly around visitors, schools, and being able to work with Arlington Public Schools to develop a formal TDM for Schools program, and being able to look at how to streamline the roles of the business development managers and the site planners. Under marketing and promotion, we talked a little bit about the rebranding and being able to, I'm going to scroll down through here a little bit, being able to expand the car-free diet, which exists now, and being able to maybe broaden that reach and being able to find a way to capture a new marketing approach to gain the interest of individuals to make those changes to the way that they commute.
I'm just going to interrupt for 1 second. So sorry. I'm just wondering, what is your projected timeline? Because I see in the chat that the next speaker will have to leave fairly soon. So I just wanted to see where you're at in your presentation if we need to flip the agenda.
Oh, sure. I have 3 slides.
Okay. If we can maybe whip through those, and then maybe we can do the discussion portion after or something. I'm not quite sure, but I just see that the next person only has limited time.
Okay. Okay. So let me go into commuter and traveler support. Really using the data that we have to be able to know where the needs are and looking at how the existing programs work with the Commuter Information Center and the commuter stores to meet the needs. Again, we talked about making sure that there's better coordination for ART and the contractors for CABI and other micromobility. And then next steps, told you I was almost done. We are finalizing this plan and here today to be able to continue to gather information and feedback. We've already met with the folks that are on the list. You are the last and lucky before it goes to the county board approval. And then by the end of November, gets submitted to DRPT. So that is my presentation. And if you would prefer, we can have people put things in chat and I can answer them there.
Sure. Either that, or we can do a discussion after Tenley goes. I don't know. Pam, do you have a thought on?
I suggest putting it in the chat because we still have Ilana and other work that we have to get done in the next hour. So yeah.
Okay, I will start writing
Yeah.
into the chat right now.
Apologies to everyone.
Yes, our apologies for running long on the first effort there. But
It's
thank you.
also interesting. That's the problem. Thank you. So those who have questions, we can write them into the chat. And why don't we move along now? And the next item on the agenda is the Arlington Site Plan Review Committee. And we have with us, we're honored to have with us, Tenley Peterson, Vice Chair, Arlington County Planning Commission.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me tonight. And I'm really sorry about the hard stop. I actually got a flat tire on my way home today. And so my husband picked me up, drove me home real fast so I could do this presentation. And now we have to go back out and take care of the flat. So I am very happy to be here tonight. I'm happy to talk to you about how we can bring the priorities of walkability and bikeability into our site plan process. As was mentioned, I'm the vice chair of the Planning Commission. I'm also the chair of our SPRC committee. And I'm also the liaison for the Pedestrian Advisory Committee. So if at any point you all have questions about the process or how you can get involved, feel free to reach out to me personally. And then I'm always happy to come and talk to the group. But first, thank you all for the work that you do. I am a big advocate of walkable, bikeable communities. They're good for our health. They're good for sustainability. They're good for accessibility. It's one of the many reasons that my family moved to Arlington in the first place. And my family recently got an e-cargo bike. So you may see us cruising around town. I will just show you very quickly because I'm so excited about it. I'll show you real quick. This is, can you see us in our e-bike? Okay, here we are.
Great.
Which I was driving down Columbia Pike and got a flat tire. So I'm sure you all can relate to that. Anyway, I'm here tonight to talk about the process for site plan committees or site plans, and I'm happy to answer any questions as well. But so kind of generally how it usually starts is that a developer, we call them applicants, have in mind, a project that they want to do, and they start working with county staff on what the project looks like, how they can kind of make it the most successful. At that point, they often start kind of like going around to the civic associations and neighborhoods and start having conversations. And so this is your first opportunity to participate in the process. This is even before the Planning Commission starts getting involved. But if you hear that your civic association is having a presentation about a new development, if you're interested, you could kind of, start the conversation early about walkability and bikeability. Eventually, when staff and the applicant kind of agree that they've got the project to a point where it could likely get approved, that's when they bring in the Planning Commission. I get involved. They review it with me, and then I assign one of my colleagues on the Planning Commission to chair the project. We have 10 projects maybe per year kind of going on at the same time. And so we kind of all share the chairship of each individual project. At the beginning of the project, the chair will review the roster of the project. And this is the people who are going to officially participate at the table. We have a standard roster, and I'll share the links for those at the end of my presentation. And then it's the chair's discretion who they want to kind of additionally invite, or if they feel like a particular project doesn't have a strong need for one of the usual participants, they can make that choice. But there is a pretty standard roster, and it's a lot of the same friendly faces who show up at our meetings. You will get invited to participate in the process. The kind of chair of each commission will receive the formal invitation. They can either participate by default, their name is going to be listed on our roster, or they can select one of their members to participate. The process can take anywhere from like 4 to 5 months to as long as a year if it's a really big project with lots of changes. And so when you sign up to participate, just have that in mind, that it'll be a few opportunities and a long process to be able to participate. Pedestrian Advisory is one of our standard roster attendees. Transportation Commission is one of our standard participants. So the walkability and bikeability and other transportation issues are frequently being brought up throughout the process. The official kind of SPRC process starts with an online comment period, which is 10 days to kind of kick things off. We'll have some presentations put up online. You can watch them, review the materials, and then anybody is allowed to submit initial feedback. And so if there's something that you all really, really care about for a project, you could have all of your members submit comments about it. The more feedback that we get about a particular issue, that influences the agenda that's going to determine what we talk about at our 2 official meetings. So that's one way to kind of start off a conversation and getting some of your priorities raised right at the beginning. Yes, and so then we're going to have 2 in-person meetings. They're usually held at the Bosman Government Center. They are, you can do them virtually or in person. The official conversation happens between the roster members, but there's also the ability to do public comment at the end of the meeting, either virtually or in person. As I mentioned, the agenda for those in-person meetings are going to be developed based on the feedback from the online comment period. And then we just have standard agenda topics like site layout, building height, density, sustainability issues, stormwater, bike lanes, sidewalks. So through those, we have the first meeting, get a lot of feedback. Then the second meeting, we kind of cover what changes have happened since the first meeting, and then what additional topics that we want to talk about. The bigger issues tend to, fall into the first meeting. Then the plan will go to the Planning Commission for our hearing. The chair of that SPRC will present their report, their findings from the meeting, how it went, what was talked about, were there changes that we saw the applicant make. Your commissions can also participate at the Planning Commission hearing. You get 3 minutes to talk and present your thoughts about the project. You can also, again, speak as a member of the public. The more people that talk about an issue is really helpful. And you can also email feedback before the hearing. Then, of course, it goes to the county board. Again, the Planning Commission representative for that month will present on the report what the commission talked about and kind of what the community feedback was so far. Again, you can sign up for public comment at the county board hearing and also email your feedback in. And then just thinking through the best ways that I've seen to be effective in my 5 years on the Planning Commission was having a consistent voice within your commission. A lot of times we have the same person that will do all of the SPRCs, and that's really helpful because then we definitely get a consistent voice and priorities. But if that person changes or a commission kind of has lots of different representatives, if you kind of haven't as a commission talked about what your priorities are related to SPRC, then like people kind of have their own interests and passions and then they'll bring them up and we're like, that's not usually what we hear from this commission. So C2E2 is really good because they have a report card that they as a commission agreed on. And every time they go to the site plan process, their representative will have a really consistent way of reviewing things. And then kind of that adds a little bit more, I guess, oversight for your commission, and it gives, I think, a new person who's getting involved from your commission in the SPRC process more confidence that they know how to participate. I've seen a lot of times when we invite a commission who's never participated in the process, they're like, I don't even know what to say. I don't know what to do. I don't know when I'm supposed to speak up or what topics I should even be talking about. So having a report card or at least like talking points for what your commission cares about, I think gives a newbie more confidence in how to get involved and be effective. Having a consistent voice with other roster members. So when we're sitting around the table and kind of doing a round robin about what did you think about the project, if each person at the table says something totally different, then the chair of the project doesn't necessarily know, like, okay, well, what do we want to focus on? Because chances are we're not going to be able to make the applicant make every change that we want. But if like 4 people are like, yes, that's a good idea, that's a good point, then the chair of the commission has some power and can say to the staff and the applicant, like, this is what we need to focus on. This is where we need to see change. And so if, the pedestrian advisory, the biking committee and the transportation commission are all kind of pushing the same thing, and then you have a couple planning commissioners who are also raising it, you're definitely going to see more movement on something that way. I'd also say a consistent voice over time. So if we keep hearing from a particular commission that something is consistently a problem, I think then other planning commissioners start to pick up on it, and then we'll start raising it. And so I think having a consistent voice over time can get to some long-term changes. Through the site plan process, I've definitely seen changes to specific things. Oh, we want to move the location of where the bike parking is. We want to do a protected bike lane instead of an unprotected bike lane. But bigger changes happen through more of like a long-term consistent advocacy effort. And then I'd also say finally, a willingness to acknowledge that sometimes we have competing priorities. If we're talking about the importance of sidewalk width, but also protected bike lanes, but also biophilia, but also commercial resiliency. We're going to advocate as best we can for all of the above, but sometimes there are like logistics and constraints. And so appreciating those when we're talking to decision makers or the applicant or staff about like, okay, well, how can we kind of get the best for all areas in a way that makes Arlington continue to be a wonderful place to live, and also pushing us to go even better and better. So I do have some resources that I will share. The first, and I'll put them in the chat. The first is a citizen's guide to site plan review committee. The second is a list of meetings that we have coming up. But again, the chairs of your commissions or committees should be getting invitations to each one of these. And then finally, the third link is the standard rosters that get invited to all of our commissions. So all of our SPRC meetings. So that's all I have for the presentation, but I'm happy to answer questions, and thank you again for kind of getting me in as quickly as you could.
It looks like Randy has his hand up first.
Sorry, that was from the last presentation and I forgot to bring it down.
All right, Chris. No, Pam. Pam is number one now.
All right. Thank you, Tammy, so much for coming. I really appreciate that your time being here, and I hope you get your tire fixed. One of the issues that we have is there any chance at some point that the BAC can get a seat at the table? I remember several years ago when Nancy was involved with the Planning Commission and she had a task force on redesigning SPRC stuff, and they had the BAC and the TAC on the list, and nothing ever happened. And you know, it's an important voice.
Mm-hmm.
And is there any way to make that happen? Any chance?
Yeah, I can definitely talk to my colleagues. I think it makes a lot of sense. I see Chris Slat is on the call and his hand is raised. He has tended to be the Transportation Commission representative for SPRC meetings and has done an amazing job representing bicycle needs as well as broader transportation needs. And I'm not sure if he'll be involved in the future, but I definitely think if we don't see that the voice of the bike community is being advocated for in the future, I can definitely see a need for bringing back in officially.
Thank you.
And Chris, I see your hands raised.
Hey there. Yeah, I was actually going to bring up a very similar thing. I think I would just put a little bit of nuance on what Pam was asking and just say I think there's a need for like an intentional, even if BAC isn't a standard roster member, there's a need for a very intentional, like, hey, there's this new project that's going to start site plan. Does anybody at the BAC think there's a real nexus of bicycle need in this at this location? Because I think there's a lot of development that goes by that, like, other than making sure it's easy to get in and out of the bike room, there's not a lot going on for bikes in a particular development. But every once in a while, one comes in that has a trail connection or something else that's super bicycly. And I know Planning Commission has often been great at when BAC asks, hey, can we have a rep on this particular site plan? Saying, yeah, absolutely. But I think often site plans go by and BAC never even knows to look. So it'd be awesome if there were a way to kind of bake that into the SPRC process and make sure BAC is getting a heads up, like, hey, this is going to start. Take a quick look at the location, the proposal, the plans that are online. And if you think this is something we really need to hear from Bicycle Advisory Committee about, let us know and let's, look at putting BAC on the roster for this particular project.
Yeah, I think that's.
Any other questions?
It's Tom.
Hi, Tom. Did you have a question?
No, I didn't, but congratulations. I spent 12 years on the commission, and so I'm about the only thing I could say is I see a lot of good practices out there not being applied here, and I would, and I'm encouraging myself to do something about that, whether sojourn in sending in things that really catch my fancy or whatever. So I spend some time in New York every year, and the most incredible thing happens there, in that they just go ahead and do stuff, and they worry about the concrete later. They put up the signs, and all of a sudden there are no cars there, but there are bicycles and and Cinzano, you know, tables and parks. So anyway, I just keep up the good work.
Yeah, thank you. Well, and of course, you all have been, you know, many members of your committees have been active participants of the SPRC process. And I do think it's a very effective way to make an actual change to a project. I know sometimes people are a little skeptical of, you know, how much impact they can have, but I can say, and I think Pam and Chris can agree that we see real change happening through the site plan process. And so while the bureaucracy and the length of meetings and the amount of meetings can be frustrating and intimidating, you do actually get to see change happen. And over the course of a couple of years, you know, when something's built, like I made a difference, I got this protected bike lane here. So it's really exciting to see that in the long term.
Well, all that paint on the streets looks good. We couldn't do that in my time.
Yeah. Any other questions? I'm happy to answer any.
Thank
Okay.
you so much. We really appreciate your time. And sorry again that we kind of shortened things a little bit with just things have gotten bunched up a little bit in the meeting. With that, should we move on to the legislative priorities? And it looks like Ilana Moroff is.
Thank you, Tenley.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Hi everyone, it's Alana. Same old me. I got married, so I changed my last name. So if you're like, who is this person? It's the same person as before. So it's so good to be with all of you, to see so many friendly and familiar faces. Thank you for having me tonight to talk about the backpack priorities. Just a quick little overview of a session. It's going to be a shorter session this year. It's going to be 6 weeks long. They are just going to do amendments to the budget, no brand new budget by Governor Youngkin. Same makeup of the General Assembly as last year. You still have the governor as a Republican, and you have a Democratic-controlled House and a Democratic-controlled Senate, each by one vote. So it's 21-19 in the Senate, 51-49 in the House. We still have our wonderful Delegate Alfonso Lopez as our Agriculture, Commerce, and Natural Resources Committee Chair. You have Delegate Hope as Chair of Courts, Senator Favola as Chair of Social Services, and Senator Eben as Chair of General Government. We have Senator Boysko, who's chairing Transportation. We have Delegate Delaney chairing Transportation. They're both big backpack advocates. Last year, I don't know if Jillian's on the call tonight, we got so close on a lot of our bicycle bills. Unfortunately, the last day committee that they were heard, we were missing a member because she was out sick, and so the bills died 7-7 on a tie. I know, it was so hard to watch. And you know, VDOT came into the meeting, I think, thinking that because they hadn't anticipated this member being out, they were anticipating having to compromise and actually do some work and send this to a study and, you know, actually like make things happen. And I think once they realized the bills were going to die, they kind of flipped their tune and we're just like, oh, okay, maybe next year. So I've already started talking with one of the patrons, Delegate Rodney Willett. He may put a bill back in. There are bill limits this year, so they can only put in 15. So it's unclear what he's going to do. But I do think that, you know, we definitely did make progress. We got a little bit further. VDOT was willing to come to the table for the first time, even though it, you know, ultimately didn't end up working out that we got legislation. But I do think, you know, it's still so important to have these conversations, and, you know, it's important as part of our Vision Zero. It's important, you know, for our community. And so I just kind of wanted to give you the lay of the land.
And what is your deadline in terms of what would be most helpful from us? Should we do something again as the BAC and the PAC together? And when would you like input by?
Great question. So right now the deadline is going to be 2 Fridays from this week, so September 27th. So there's still some time, even if you want to meet, after this meeting. I think doing it how you did it last year, I think you did what, 5 or 6 priorities together, would be awesome, and we can make sure that they get incorporated to our package. I mean, right now we still have a lot on the Vision Zeros piece. We have our regional transportation supporting like our bus entrances, improvements to Route 1, bus expansion, mobility. We have additional like WMATA funding, which I know is kind of in the same vein of like improved mobility for the region. I know it's not necessarily bike or bike specific or pedestrian specific, but I know that was a big focus of last session. So yeah, I think kind of staying in the same arena and then thinking broader is good too, because the broader, the more we can encompass in our package. Yeah, Route 1. So as part of the Amazon deal coming in, there's supposed to be improvements to Route 1 as part of Amazon coming in. I can touch base with some of our planning folks and get back to you on more information on those projects and what they're going to look like.
Now,
Yeah, this is Dana Bress. The important point is that VDOT interpreted the agreement, which was to improve the porosity of Route 1, as to drop Route 1 to grade, which will not improve the porosity. They're not proposing to break up any of the super blocks, and they're proposing to take safe, underpasses and make them at grade intersections. The community, Livability 22202 is just, absolutely opposed to it. It's I'll editorialize, it's a stupid idea. And VDOT is focused on the solution, which is, dropping it to grade, because it will free up some developable space along Route 1. So, if Arlington's coming out in favor of that, then this is probably the wrong time to do it. They need to they haven't engaged. They need to engage more fully with the local community.
Okay, thank you. I see, Pamela, you have your hand up.
Yeah. A general idea. As I was trying to browse through different legislation, I bumped in that the Dillon rule was under consideration for having a review, and it sounded like doing the review passed both the House and the Senate, and then they bumped it to this year to actually doing anything. And can you talk about how that might happen and how much we should push for it? It seems to me that revoking the Dillon rule would just be such a game changer for the counter.
Yeah. So how do I put this? It's like, it's one of those items where everyone's like, I don't want to actually get rid of the Dillon rule, but just to, see what people are thinking, let's just throw a study in and kind of move from there. I don't think it's it's not an effort that I'm hearing a lot of murmur about from broader communities other than localities, which would basically mean like I don't think the idea is going to go anywhere. I think, every couple years people are like, hey, let's just check in and see if anything's changed. And I don't know that that's really going to have any legs, unfortunately.
So you don't recommend pushing it?
No.
Oh well.
I mean, it would be
Thank you
great. Yeah, I mean, it would be great, but just like the yeah, I mean, I haven't heard like any like no legislator has come to me and been like, I really want to overturn this other than Sam Rasool, who's kind of the, sponsor of the study. And, I think he knows that, we're just going to keep having these conversations to have them, but I don't see that getting any I'm sorry. But great question.
Thank you.
Chris?
Yeah, I just wanted to throw this in there. I think it's actually less for you, Alana, in the county, and more for my fellow advocates on BAC. But I wanted to throw because I think it would be difficult for the county to put this on their official legislative list, just due to the county's needs to work with VDOT as a partner going forward. But I've had a couple conversations with folks that I think there's an opportunity for advocates across Virginia to push forward a bill that could require VDOT to follow local street design guidance when they do a project within a locality that has local street designs. I think many of us know with Route 1 and several other projects, we run these issues where VDOT, VDOT they measure lanes differently than we do in Arlington. So what they call a 12-foot lane, we call a 14.5-foot lane, and it really operates like a 14.5-foot lane. We see curb radiuses that support super high-speed turns and VDOT projects. We see lanes that are too wide in VDOT projects. We see those stupid curb ramps that spit you out diagonally into the intersection in VDOT projects. And my understanding is when Arlington does projects on VDOT roads, they're often slowed down because they have to get a huge number of design waivers for how VDOT does things. I think there's an opportunity legislatively to try and solve both of those problems, and folks should be thinking about this as we're talking to Virginia Bike Federation and the Coalition for Smarter Growth and that for legislative priorities going forward. I think it would move things forward in a really useful way for the county. So again, I don't think this should go on Arlington's official legislative list, nor should anybody ask for it to. Arlington has to maintain that collegial relationship with VDOT, and I think VDOT would see this as an attack. But I wanted to put that out there as this, since there's so many lovely people who have thoughts on this in this call. So just throwing it out there as something that's potentially moving forward.
Yeah, and I think you highlight how lucky we are that we own our own roads and that many of our projects, we don't just have to rely on VDOT. Like, other than us, it's just Henrico, and the cities. So every other county, Fairfax County, Loudoun, Prince William, they have to deal with VDOT no matter what road they're working on. So I think you really highlighted a good point there. Dana?
Yeah. The policy on red light cameras. Right now, if you put up a sign that says no right turn on red, apparently we can't, the Arlington can't legally enforce the no right turn on red using a red light camera.
Right.
It's my understanding the cameras are smart enough, but the way the law is written, it would have to be a red light arrow, an illuminated arrow, instead of a sign. Obviously, the county could spend a boatload of money and put the illuminated arrows up, but that seems stupid. Can we have it be a signal or a sign?
Yeah, I feel bad. I feel like I'm shooting down all your ideas tonight. So the Speaker of the House does not like any camera legislation. He feels like it's a violation of people's I think he used the Fourth Amendment was his concern. And so any camera bills are dead. They're like the only bill that passed last year was Senator Rome's bill. She had one very, very specific intersection in her district where someone was killed like within 1,000 feet of a school. Or sorry, not within 1,000 feet of a school. Like it was just over the 1,000-foot threshold of the school. And she really wanted just that one intersection to have a camera. So the red light cameras, the speed cameras, all of those bills, the license plate reader bills, all of those are running into these unfortunate roadblocks right now, and no one is able to get them through, even though we've had multiple jurisdictions, members of the Black Caucus, members not in the Black Caucus put them forward. We're just kind of in this unfortunate standstill.
Okay, can Arlington just say, we'll accept the rules as they are, and for the intersections that we have red light cameras and no right turn on red, change the signs to illuminated signals?
That is a
Just spend
question.
money. Just spend money.
I mean,
How do we do that?
do you want to fund them?
Say again?
I said, how do you want us to pay for everything?
Well, don't get me started. But okay, thank you.
I mean, I think you need to talk with, county board, with with our transportation staff.
Okay, that's fine. That's
Yeah,
fine, thank you.
you're welcome.
And what is the name of the speaker who keeps vetoing everything? And is that something that as citizens we should weigh in on? I mean, a change petition from Virginians or something?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the speaker, like what he's doing is throughout the legislative process, he's going in and he's essentially like deciding like what bills live and what bills die. So he's not necessarily taking like a veto stamp to it, but he's more just taking um a seal of like, I'm not going to let this bill get out of committee. So yes, I think he represents Portsmouth. So working with our colleagues in Portsmouth to really try to get him to change his mind. I know Portsmouth has come out in favor of some of these items, like their version of me there, but I think that's a great idea for civic advocacy. So yeah. Pam?
Hi. This is really depressing. You had mentioned a lot of the failed bike legislation. Are there any of those that you think are worth pushing again? Specifically, we are interested in the cyclists going with the pedestrians on pedestrian lights, and also, the rolling stops specifically.
Yeah, I think you could push all of them again.
Okay.
It really came down to they had 7-7 votes. Senator Marsden, once he saw that it was a 7-7, then he got a little more conservative, and then you saw the votes go 8-6, because he's like, they're not going to pass anyways, or I guess 6-8, so then it would fail. But yeah, I think it's worth pushing any and all of them again.
Okay. And what about pure contributory negligence? Any chance on that?
Can you explain what that concept is, please?
I could fake it. I'm not an attorney. That one of the problems for bike peds is that if they're in a crash and they did the slightest thing not quite correct, like they weren't in the crosswalk, and then because Virginia is one of the few states that has the pure contributory negligence, it's really hard to win cases or get any compensation because,
Yes.
oh my God, you messed up.
Yes. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about, where it goes back and forth, every couple of years, and it kind of TikToks. Yeah, I think that one was one of the other ones that was brought up in that same committee that died that day.
So we could bring that up again?
I think so.
Okay.
If someone's willing to put a bill forward. Yeah.
Okay, we're up to about 5 things. That's a start.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry about some of the
No,
other
it's
things.
okay. I mean, they say like when the idea is a good idea, even if it fails, to keep trying. Because maybe you'll get a little bit bite at the apple. I mean, I think Dylan rule's a little different. But generally, the more you continue to advocate, the more and educate people on issues, the better. Eric?
Yeah, I have two areas I just want to ask about. Is there any opportunities you think to do any more with policies to curb distracted driving? Since that seems to continually be an issue, and maybe even post-pandemic, it's been more of an issue.
Yeah, do you have any specific examples that you're thinking of? Or just in general?
Well, I don't have specifics. I'm sort of maybe floating this as kind of a general thing that maybe we can do a little more research on the specifics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think that definitely is in line with our Vision Zero policies. So if you have any specific, ideas that we could, turn into legislation, I think that's very welcome.
Okay. And then the other one is just driver education. Is there, would this fall into legislation to maybe update driver education with new traffic controls? Like we have lots of things like hawk signals and rapid flashing beacons and other things like that I don't even know that people even understand them, but a lot of them have been implemented to try and improve safety, but the compliance sometimes is low because people don't know how to react to them.
That's a really good point. I don't know specifically on code there. I don't know if that's like a DMV driver education course that could be put out. I don't know off the top of my head what DMV is required to educate people on or how frequently they have to update their, manuals, etc. I also don't know, like, it may be something. I know there's county staff on here. I don't know if they know this code section at all. Um, but I think that's a good idea. It's a valid point.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Look into that DMV piece. That's an interesting one.
So a couple of years ago, we discussed the possibility of doing something similar to what Washington, D.C. was taking on to charge vehicles different amounts to register larger, heavier cars. And I think that was a Dylan problem that we couldn't do anything. And I know that people were suggesting like maybe there's some way to get around it and to do something similar, but I don't know what would be allowed. I would love to stem the tide of bigger and bigger and bigger vehicles in the county and in the whole state. But if anyone has any ideas what we could actually do, like, and get away with, yeah.
I think it's a Dylan rule problem, unfortunately. Dylan rule is not kind to us sometimes. Any other questions?
Thanks so much. Appreciate you coming and your time, and we'll try and pull things together between our committees to get you information ahead of the 27th deadline.
That would be great. Thank you.
So, and just one clarification. So in the beginning, you mentioned WMATA and so on, like issues that you already have. Is it okay if our priority lists include what's already on your priority list? Because I know like funding public transit is generally at the top of our list as well.
Yes, absolutely. If it's important and it's on our list already, it can absolutely be included.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks so much.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Cynthia,
Yeah.
before we move on to our, I guess, our next topic, the Vision Zero mid-year report, do we want to give folks, is there anybody still here from the Arlington County Commuter Services that might want to at least give them a little more opportunity or have them take any questions?
Good question.
We have a few, we're kind of back on schedule. as I can't tell right now because I'm actually working off of my phone because I did get kicked off of my network. Do you know?
I think Eric Balliet might still be with us.
Okay.
Yes, I am. Yeah, I think my partners for this evening have already left. So, but I've been trying to at least capture the comments that people have been adding in the chat and trying to do some responses, but at least saving down anything that people have been commenting on in the chat.
Is there anything you want to follow up on? I know we kind of pushed you off just to get ourselves back on timing here. Is there anything else you'd like to add, or do you think you've been able to get the feedback you were looking for from the chat?
We've definitely got some good comments. I appreciate that, those who've shared. What I can do after this, after tonight's meeting, I can ask the liaisons to share out our presentation and give you my email address as well. And so once you have a chance to look through it, I know we went through it pretty quickly, but we can share it with both committees. And if you have additional feedback, you can feel free to email it to me afterwards.
I have not had a chance to keep up with the chat because I was trying to listen at the same time, but I had put in one question into the chat about the decreasing role of bike and pedestrian activities within the Arlington County Commuter Services and how the number of staff dedicated to biking and walking has declined so significantly. And it seems like the budgets are sort of shifting around. I'm just wondering, is that something that you could discuss with us now?
Sure. Just to note, I did respond in the chat when you have a chance to take a look.
Thank
But
you.
I did note that in our full strategic plan, we do have some additional recommendations, particularly related to biking. We do want to add and enhance some of our programs in that area. We look at or recommend adding some more hands-on experiences for biking, looking at the idea of incentives for e-bike purchases, which I know some communities have started offering. This will require us to look for some additional grant funding to support these activities, but they are items that we have included in the full strategic plan to look at for the next 5 years.
And how about the staffing, which
It,
decreased dramatically, I believe?
yeah, I can't, I don't have any comments on the staffing at this time. We don't have any commitments to what staffing is, but we are looking to bolster the program going forward with some of these additional enhancements. And what staffing will be required to do that is still to be determined.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
All right, should we move on now to the Vision Zero mid-year report?
Yes.
Okay. Do you or Pam want to lead that maybe?
Well, I have to say I'm not sure what they're actually asking us for, which I feel bad to say. The comment that it says that we're working through their mid-year report, and could you send us updates from your organization that you'd like to include. So I'm not sure, and maybe Laura, you can give us a prompt to help us in terms of, are you looking for just to have include some of the things that we have touched on in the last year, and just to kind of add that as part of the report? Or
Yeah, like anything that we've collaborated with or anything that you want to highlight that has been part of your work, and that you would like for us to include on this mid-year report, would be great. And then we also have an example from last year, as I don't it was so long ago, and I'm sure you guys have added stuff on there too. But yeah, that's basically what we're asking for.
To see if we can pull together some highlights of some of the that we, I guess, have done or have sort of tackled in our meetings. Is that what you're sort of for? Okay.
Eric, we've given them a summary before, and I took that and made revisions to it, and I sent it to you, I don't know, last week or something.
Okay.
I can resend it to you, and you can do whatever and send it in. It was just a page, say, we support Vision Zero for budgets, legislative priorities, that we regularly host updates of Vision Zero. We encourage PAC members and other pedestrians engagement in kind of Vision Zero programs. We volunteer as PAC representatives to key county groups, such as the Vision Zero External Stakeholders Group, blah, blah, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's kind of, I mean, a lot of what we do is related to Vision Zero periods, so it's pretty easy for us to put together a short note. So I will send it to you again, Eric, and you can make whatever changes you want and send it out. Does that work?
That works, and I apologize for letting that one slip by.
I didn't know that's what the agenda items was.
But I assume that is what that's going back to what Christine Baker had asked about, and then
yeah,
also looking at feedback from their new website, the changes,
right?
We have.
Yeah, Lauren, do you know what the deadline is to give feedback on the website?
For the website, we didn't have a deadline, but we're currently working on updating it. So, as soon as you have those comments in, feel free to let us know. But yeah, we don't have a hard deadline.
I apologize. I believe they said that they'd like to get our feedback before the external stakeholders meeting, which is I guess towards the end of October.
Yes, we have time.
Yeah. And speaking of, if I could also ask a question to the group. So we have our annual Vision Zero External Stakeholders Group meeting Thursday, October 24th. And one thing that we were thinking about doing is having an in-person meeting. So I'm going to go ahead and add a poll, if that's okay, to the group chat. We're thinking about doing an in-person meeting, and the last time that we did one was I think January 2020, but we just want to get a temperature check to see if people would come if it was in person, or if you would prefer just to have it online.
Can you do hybrid?
I think we're wanting to do either one or the other, because hybrid could get a bit tricky. But yeah, I mean, we're hoping towards in person, honestly, because we haven't done one in such a long time. But I can also add that as an option. It's not our preferred one.
Well, if I understand correctly, I mean, the external stakeholders meeting, you're usually looking for one representative from each group. So I believe both the PAC and the BAC do have representatives. And I believe I'm still the representative for our group. So I can tell you that I would if there were no conflicts for me, I would definitely come in person.
Okay. Thanks for that.
Where and when would such a meeting be on that date?
So we have it scheduled for October 24th, from 7 to 9, and then I believe we would have to book a room at the courthouse offices. So yeah, but we haven't like scheduled anything.
In the past, I believe, I may be wrong, I think it was actually done in Central Library, in their sort of large meeting room. So may be an opportunity potentially to think about.
Okay, I'll bring it up with Christine. But yeah, that was it for me.
Thank you. Appreciate you joining our meeting today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Right. I think we've gone through most of our agenda except for any business.
So one business item is that the master transportation plan is in the beginning stages now. And a couple of days ago, our committees were asked to identify one representative each to participate in the MTP Master Transportation Plan process. And we only have until the end of the week to identify such an individual to participate in this extensive 18-month process. So a few of us have been talking informally. I know that for the BAC, I reached out to some of our members, including Mike Hanna, who I do not believe is actually here. But he sounded open to taking that on. They said that we cannot have an alternate, but I think we would want one anyways because it's a lot for one person to take on. So we may have an unofficial alternate. I have tried to persuade Dana to be open to that role, but if there are others on the BAC who would be interested in representing us in this master transportation planning effort, please speak up or send an email, and we'll figure this all out by the end of the week. Who will take on this very considerable volunteer role for the next year and a half. And then PAC is in the same boat.
Right. I will speak that most likely Pam Van Hine will be our primary representative, and I'm looking for other folks within our group to potentially have, I guess, an alternate, an unofficial alternate, which it sounds to me like that should not be a problem. I think that the only thing that really is going to kind of be formal about this is that all communication from the group is supposed to go through one person. That communication not going to be shared with other folks other than the official representatives for the group.
Yeah, can I say something?
Absolutely.
Okay. Hi, this is Pam. I very much want to be the official representative. I am, first, I would like the committee, and we do have a quorum, to vote to appoint me as the representative. And I also am asking all of the PAC members to be my support. Whether I'm not sure that we will have an official alternate, but I want to keep all of you involved, and I want all of your feedback. I don't want this to be my recommendation. I want it to be recommendations that the PAC has developed. And I think this is one of the most important opportunities that we've ever had. And this is the first time, since I've been on the PAC, that there's been any real changes on plan for the transportation plan. So I want to get it right. And for me, especially having been involved with the SPRCs, there are so many pedestrian issues that would really be helped if they're clearer in the transportation plan. So can we have a motion to appoint me and then a quick vote?
You faded out there,
Oh,
Pam.
sorry. When did I fade at the end?
At the end.
Oh, okay. Could we get a quick vote supporting my representation on the PAC? Have a quick motion and a second and a vote.
I move that, Pam represent the PAC. This is Andrea.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Tom is second.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone against the proposal? Okay, I think I got it. Thank you.
Thank
so
you.
It's just the four of us right now who are representing the PAC at this time, right?
Oh, we lost somebody. We did have 5.
Okay. Who else?
Let me see. We had Jim. Did Jim go off? We
I
have
guess.
no, Jim's on. Jim, you, me, Jim. No, there's 5 of us.
Okay, I did not. When I did introductions, I wasn't aware that Jim was.
I think he was slightly late. Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So that's good. So we're official.
Well, congratulations, Pam.
Thank you. And Eric, you will get back to Kristen, and let her know that I will be the representative.
Yes, by Friday.
Thank you.
And hopefully we can find somebody who can provide consistent assistance for you on this effort.
Oh, I want everybody to provide consistent assistance.
I'd like to find at least another member who would have strong interest as well. So.
Right. Thank you. And the only other item that I had was the approval of the PAC minutes from August.
Okay.
And those were sent out I sent out a reminder about this meeting, and I included a link to the meeting. So if I can have a motion to approve the August 14th PAC minutes.
I move that, the August 14th minutes be approved.
You do that so well. Second?
Thank you, Andrea.
Second?
I'll second again.
Okay. Any discussion of them? Good. Anyone opposed to the approval of the minutes? All right. We all go aye.
Now they're official.
Yay. Okay. That was my business.
All right. Does the PAC have any other business? The BAC, sorry.
I think nothing in particular. Our next meeting will be October 7th. And we already have a pretty full agenda, if I recall. One item on the agenda is that we will have the Bike League, the executive directors from the Bike League and from WABA doing a presentation and discussion how Arlington could do things better. From their perspective, since they work with multiple different jurisdictions. So if anyone has questions to send them in advance, I will be preparing some of our key issues and questions. And please, there's not time now, but please send me an email or put it in the chat if you have something to ask them.
And I guess a comment for both the BAC and the PAC is any of you who have specific legislative ideas, send them to either Cynthia or Eric ASAP so we can put something together. But it sounds like our letter is going to be very similar to what it was last year. I am really disappointed about the Dillon rule.
Yeah.
Oops.
All right. And thanks, Pam, for doing all your research.
Well, hopefully we can put some of it to good use at some point. Yeah. You're welcome.
And thank you, everyone who has attended today. We appreciate your comments and feedback and everything.
Oh, Mary DeLau's hand is up.
Oh, okay, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I just had a really quick bit of news. I thought you guys would be excited by this. They had the first steering committee meeting today for Bike to Work Day, and they decided to change the day this year to a Thursday. So they already decided on the date. The steering committee members voted on it, so it will be Thursday, May 15th. And as some of you probably know, like since the pandemic, we have thought that people aren't really commuting as much on Friday. So it's a hard day to do a bike to work event. So it's really great that it'll be a different day. And then the other thing I wanted to just put out there is that you may remember you saw the comfort map like planning process several months ago, and we're getting really close. We're in like the third layout, and it really, when you all see it, it looks exactly like the old comfort map, but it's just the data behind it that's new and different. So I still want you all to see it. And probably at this point, timing wise, I'm just going to send it to the Google group and everybody can have an opportunity to look at it and, think about it. We really have tried hard to take your ideas and feedback into account. And it was like super helpful. We really listened, or we tried to listen when we presented last time, that like you like the way it looks now and you don't want it to change a lot, and you'll see the look of it and the feel of it really hasn't. So that'll probably be coming to the Google group.
Mary, can you send it to both Google groups?
Sure.
Yes.
I think it is the best way to find walking routes.
Right.
I use it all the time. I love it.
And we have all the water fountains and everything is still in there, all the amenities. So
And they're easy routes to follow.
Yeah, I agree. So it's still pretty simple.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I don't have any other announcements unless anybody else does. We'll give them an opportunity before we sign off.
I see Steve's hand.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was the decision to switch the bike to work day from Friday to Thursday. Washcogs? Is that like the regional effort?
Right. Yes, it was that meeting today. So it was everybody from all over the region, all the site managers, the pit stop managers, and they all voted on like what day. And it was already kind of baked into the meeting that they would be changing the day. And since the pandemic, people have been saying that Friday's not the best. And it's been like 2 years now since the pandemic that it's still been on a Friday. And so this year now everyone's agreed to make a change.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I'm not sure I'm totally supportive of that, but fair enough.
Oh, well.
Well, again, thank you everybody for your participation today. I think it was a very good meeting.
Thank you, Eric and Cynthia. I thought we were never going to get through it all.
Thank you.
I hope you had a good dinner, David.
It was fine, thank you. And it was a good meeting. You did a great job getting back on the timetable. And I think everybody was satisfied with the attention they received from the groups. Good job.
Right.
And meanwhile, the Hurricane Francine update from my daughter.
Oh,
Water
no.
is coming in through the ceiling, through the
Oh,
walls,
no.
and through
Oh
the
my
roof.
goodness.
no.
Oh,
Oh,
no.
that's
I've
terrible.
been getting lots of texts.
Oh, my.
Oh, dear.
Is
Oh,
she
well.
is she in a dorm or a
Yeah.
house or what?
Yeah, she's in a dorm. It's coming
So,
in
My
from all
goodness.
directions.
so hopefully they have a plan to keep everybody safe.
I hope so.
What
Oh
university?
my God. Tulane.
Tulane.
Oh, they have a plan. They learned
They've
a lot
been
from
through this
Katrina.
many times. Yes.
Oh, I hope she's safe.
Yes, I
I'm sorry.
sure
Yeah.
will.
Wow.
Best of luck.
So hopefully no tornadoes. We'll see.
And
Yes.
and we
Thanks, everyone.
yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a good
Thank
night,
you all.
everybody.
I will
And-
stop the recording and capture
Okay.
all the information.
Thank you. And you'll send me all the information and the
Yep.
recording, etc. Thank you, David.
Thank
And-
you.
So
Thank you, and
so,
fingers crossed for your daughter.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
so Elizabeth Kiker is coming back to the BAC for right.
Ah,
I guess, right? For
What?
a
For just for this meeting, yes,
Oh.
she's
Oh,
she's
for
the
this meeting.
executive director of WABA, and the bike league. The executive director will be there too. So
Yeah.
it should be quite interesting.
Yes. Looking forward to that as well. All right. Thank you, everyone.